So, welcome, Elaine and Patricia. Is Patricia still with us? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were just asking, Elaine, you were asking about the forgiveness exercise.
So anyway, I left. So I did the whole thing. And then I read the instructions. I thought, oh, man, I forgot the last bit, which is so important, which is, what did you say? Last thing is we are one.
Yeah, I'll pull it up now. Can you, where are we? Very short and letting go processes. Okay, so, yeah, there we go. All is forgiven and released completely. In fact, read the whole thing.
Should I read what I wrote?
Yeah, read.
Must I read my own personal version?
Yeah.
Okay. 35. Yes, I tell you, it took me an hour. I really did it from the bottom of my heart. I've actually been working on this for a while, and there's another one I need to work on as well. I said, I, Elaine Goodman, forgive you, Amanda Mole, for my projection that you were not there for me when I needed you most, that you betrayed me, and that you did not appreciate the difference that I tried to make in your life.
Okay, so it's quite long. Yeah, I can see how that could have taken you an hour. If you're writing.
But it was, you know what, it was 3 important things.
Yeah, so you got them all there.
That's what I knew. Yeah, and I took it very seriously. I thought, what do I need to forgive it for? And there are 3 things I need to forgive it for. So I thought I must write them all down.
Yeah, good.
And but I forgot to put all is completely.
All is forgiven and released.
All is forgiven and released. We are one.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah, because that's the outcome of forgiveness, is to bring your mind into that state of.
Into that state. So I missed that.
Oneness.
Does that mean that the whole exercise is wasted?
No, it doesn't.
It's never wasted. No.
No, it's not wasted. Because if you're starting to really let go and forgive, then the oneness starts to come into your mind automatically.
Yeah, it's got to just reinforce it, I suppose, in your own mind.
Yeah, just saying, the purpose of forgiveness is the means to attain oneness of mind. Forgiveness is the means of the at-one-ment. So you do it because the truth is that you are still one with that person and one with every other person in your mind. That's the truth. And the grievances that you hold block that truth. They block your awareness of that truth.
Yeah.
You stay in the separated mindset, and you you are still Elaine. Who's having the grievance? Who's got the grievance? Who's resentful? Who's angry? Who's upset?
Who's suffering?
Yeah, a little self that you've defined that's somehow now separate from oneness. So forgiveness just restores your mind to that state of oneness. And this just says that at the end, saying all is forgiven and released. We are one. So you get to the point where you just feel that. You're just feeling the unity, then forgiveness is done. You really feel it.
All is forgiven and released. We are one.
All is forgiven and released completely. We are one. So it doesn't matter that you didn't get it perfect this time, because you've got another 7 days and 30, another 450 opportunities to get it right. So.
Well, you were saying you can do it 70 times a day. I thought, oh my gosh.
70 times. Yeah. Well, it's up to you, but every time you write that, what are you doing? You're saying, I forgive you.
Is that something that's in the Course of Miracles, that you should actually do this? Does he prescribe?
No, it doesn't.
Where did you get this from?
Where did I get this from?
Is this your thing?
That's a good question, actually. I honestly can't say where I got it from. It's a long time ago that it came. I kind of pick up these things and tools and resources, and then I just put them all into the course. It was some teacher or workshop or something. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And that could work, because just the writing down, I think, is helpful. Writing it down means that you really, instead of just saying it, the writing kind of makes it more purposeful, more intentional.
It does, because it's practice. It's not in the head. It's kind of like
the doing of it. Yeah,
not
exactly.
just in the head. It's not just sitting in the head.
It's like, and you could also work
that you're
through
going to
this.
be in the garden, as opposed to actually being in the garden and doing the work.
Exactly. Yeah, you could also work through this.
Picturing it.
Through this worksheet. So, page 25. Page 25 of the manual is the 10-step letting go process, and it's written. So you can write this out.
Write out the 10-step. Should one actually start? Yeah.
So you go through it, and I say, well, describe what you're acknowledging. What are the negative thoughts and emotions?
Okay, what is it? The 10-step. What's that called again? The 10-step.
10-step letting go process.
Letting go. What page?
25 of the manual. So
yeah, I must definitely write that out.
So do it. Just go through the process and actually write it out, and you'll find that it takes you maybe a bit deeper, because you're going to have to spend an hour on it if you're writing it out, and really work through each stage. And so it's like a step by step. Okay, so this is a process. Forgiveness is a process. So step by step, take it, do that step, then you move on to the next one. And at the end of it, you can't help but feel lighter and clearer. You must.
Yeah.
And if you're not fully clear, then repeat. Rinse and repeat until all the dirt's gone. Basically, that's how it works. And the real test here is in can you feel grateful to that person? If you can really feel gratitude for the lesson, then that's a good barometer.
So important. Yeah, that theta meditation of yours really helped me. Hey, because I've really needed to do some forgiveness. Not only this one, but another one as well. Both of them hit me at the same time. And it was really huge. I actually seriously went through quite a major transformation, and almost a huge realization of something I brought upon myself. Something I've been bringing upon myself actually my whole life.
This was recently?
Very recently. Yeah, no, but this all happened in the last couple of months, these incidents. And, that theta meditation really, really just helped me clear, especially my heart chakra. And, I found that very valuable, and especially the gratitude for the lesson, also the compassion for the other person. And the taking responsibility for it.
Yeah. So these are all steps. Have I been through this with you? I did go through it.
Yeah, you did. Oh, I mean, you're
in that session. So
I wouldn't mind just going through the key points.
Okay. So any questions about anything? Maybe that's the best way to do it. What's So let's start at number one.
Let's start
the key points then is to acknowledge. You must acknowledge the negative thoughts and emotions. You got to bring them into awareness. Otherwise, there's no healing. And this is
Should one actually print this out and do it as well?
Yeah, if you're going to do this as a written exercise, then I'd print it out.
Okay, so one is acknowledge negative. So whatever the situation is, 2 is be aware.
So just acknowledge it, but be aware of the thoughts and emotions, and try not to go down a rabbit hole of whatever that thought and emotion is. It's very easy. Something's very strongly emotive. You can think about it, and then your mind then goes down the rabbit hole with the ego.
Yeah,
and
trigger
now
something
you've
else. So
lost in it.
just,
So,
yeah,
so this
just
awareness is
object.
just like, okay, can I just observe? Can I just observe thought, emotion, sensation, and have that kind of zooming out effect? Which is why it's quite helpful to do this in the meditation,
Yeah,
because you're kind of in that zoomed out state
yeah,
already.
this is something that one should know, like the back of one's hand, hey?
And
Remember
then
that it's an
an
illusion, dream.
illusion. So that's just reminding yourself, look, this is not true. This is not really real. It's an illusion or a dream. And even just like, even if you don't fully grasp that, because this is a very deep concept and understanding, then you can just remind yourself, because the more you remind yourself, the more you're practicing that thought, you see. So in the forgiveness, you're actually learning this truth. And the more you practice forgiveness, the more you learn the truth. So you don't fully realize straight away. As he said in yesterday's thing, it would be circular to ask you to do these exercises and expect that you understood already, because you don't fully. But you do the practice so that you gain the understanding with the practice. So that's why it's just a paint by numbers. Do it step by step. Do it step by step, and just remind yourself, okay, this is an illusion or a dream. And write down any thoughts that you come to mind while you're doing this step. So if you find any resistance to that, some people don't like the idea, it's just a dream. How can it just be a dream? There's a lot of resistance to that. No, that was real. I experienced it.
Yeah, exactly. It isn't an easy concept to.
No, it's a mind-blowing concept.
That everything I see is
not really there.
Is not really there. It's like, well,
I'm hallucinating. So I can see it, feel it, touch it, taste it, smell it, and yet that's all part of the mind's construct. That it's miscreated this reality to convince us that we are human, that we're separate. That's the whole point. And so this will take, it takes really time to wrap your head around it, and really start to understand deeply and then apply the insight. But in these situations, you practice. So you go, okay, well, it's just a dream. Okay. Just like a dream character. I mean, there's a couple of ways of looking at it. You can zoom out and you can kind of go, well, imagine I'm just watching the dream, right? This Elaine character and this other person, Amanda, whatever her name was, they're just characters in the dream. So I can just kind of observe that these characters are playing out these patterns and these roles, and they've got this
I do feel it though, in a way. I really, I really fully appreciate that there are two sides to the story.
And so each character,
in actual fact, neither are true.
Yeah, because each character is in the movie. Think of it as a movie, right? Projected onto the screen of time and space. It's a 4-dimensional movie screen.
Yeah.
We're now able to just observe that and see that these characters are just their perceptions in the movie are not correct. They're not accurate. They're just in their drama. If they're attached to the role that they're playing, then they have to play out that role with all the thoughts and emotions that go along with it. And so they have a perception, and then they react in certain ways and they behave in certain ways. But if you take the observer perspective, you can just look at that and say, well, that's not ultimately true. That's just the dream playing out. The characters are identified with the minds are identified with these characters in the dream, and they're just playing it out. And none of that's really true. Whatever's happening in the dream is not true. Right? The only thing that's true is the light of pure awareness, pure formless awareness that underlies it all. So what you're really doing, to use the movie analogy, is you're zooming out, you're becoming the observer of the movie. And you're just observing, how these characters play out their dream, including your own. Going, okay, I'm not really attached to any of that. I can just observe it quite objectively. And then what you start to do is take your attention away from the dream characters and the dream, and you start to turn around and you start to look at the light, because there's a light that's streaming from the projector onto the movie screen. And now you start to follow the source and go, okay, so where's this actually coming from? And you follow the source all the way back to the projector, And then you observe that the projector mechanism, which is your own mind, has all these filters. What's creating the illusion of the movie is there's a movie script. There's a film that's now covering over the light, isn't it? And the light's coming through and being projected out. And so that's quite a good analogy for what's actually happening on a mind level. Because all of these beliefs and ideas and so on that we have and everyone else has, that's the screen, that's this film that then gets projected on outwards. But it's not true. That film is a covering over the light. So our job as spiritual workers and teachers is to go beyond the film.
Is to remove the film completely.
Yeah, because that film is what covers the light, and that film is your own beliefs.
And the film is maybe it's a story. That's what it is. It's a story.
Yeah, it's a story.
Over the light.
And beyond that is the light of your pure formless awareness, which is actually the only thing that gives it any reality at all. Because the light has to shine through the film in order to create some kind of illusion, right? So this illusion, this world, is a distortion of that pure formless awareness, of that light, which is what he's saying. So you see this fragmented, cracked reality, broken reality, because it's been distorted through the filter of your belief systems, collective belief systems, and that collective belief system that creates that film is the ego. So it's much bigger than just your personal ego. It's the whole dream of anything separate from that light now gets projected out into this four-dimensional so-called reality. And so this is a big idea, really. It's a huge idea. So if you're going through the step and you go, look, this is just an illusion or a dream, and you don't fully grasp that, then don't worry about it. Because if you fully grasped it, you would be enlightened. This single idea, it's just a dream, and I really get that. That takes you to enlightenment. There's no more attachment left to the dream. So just do the step and write down what you feel, what you're feeling and thinking as you're doing that. Especially ideas that are resistant. If you have resistance, contradiction, and you just notice that, because your mind is probably likely to resist it. And then the kind of related to this is remembering that this is your projection. So remember, everything is your projection. You're projecting this out onto the screen of time and space. And then you see the characters. And the way the movie works is that everyone is actually the projector. Everyone has the script kind of loaded into their mind. And so you're projecting, and you're also perceiving as the separate character, and that creates the illusion of a seeming reality, where you seem to be separate from the projections. And again, like, you don't fully have to get that. Just conceptually start saying, yes, this is a projection of my own beliefs. That's all you have to start to accept. So that person is just showing me something that is already in me, and it's just now manifesting in the dream. It's a projection of my own subconscious thoughts, and that projection is what's hurting me. It's a projection of my own mind. No one else is hurting me. I'm doing it to myself. Which then you start to take responsibility. Start to say, okay, if I'm doing it to myself, then maybe I should stop doing it. Maybe I should stop thinking these thoughts. Change the program. And then step 5 is compassion. Because this is a difficult process. This is not an easy process at all. So it's to have compassion for yourself and others, because we're all stuck in the same mess, really. We've done this, seeming incomprehensibly stupid thing of separating from source, and now we're stuck in our projections, and we're trying to find a way out. And everyone's trying to find a way out, actually. So you can just have compassion for that everyone is in the same boat, really. We're all on the Titanic, sinking, and people respond in different ways. Some people panic, and some people go, no, I want to save my own life. I want to go into the lifeboat. Some people will be more noble. Some people freak out. Some people just give
Some
up.
people say this boat is not sinking. I'm fine.
Yeah, so I'm fine, but it is sinking. You're on a sinking ship. That just, it seems to be taking a bit longer than immediately with the Titanic. It's not, this, but in the end, we're all dying. We're going towards death. So it's a sinking ship. And so it's to recognize that everyone's really in this bind. The ego has just got them in a mental and emotional bind, an impasse in their mind. There's a stuckness, and it's difficult to break through it because we're so in it that we don't even know we're in it.
Whole
Like
process.
you're in the shit and you don't even know you're in the shit. That's the problem. Sorry, I know. What did you say?
It just reminds me of where we are in Britain. We manifested Brexit, breaking away from an amazing union of countries and ideas in Europe. And now we're stuck out here in the Atlantic, being so much better for being separate.
Yeah, well, that was just separation playing out, wasn't it?
Yeah, big time.
So we all, and politicians are the same. I mean, it's very tempting to want to condemn these people. You go, you idiot! How can you, possibly think that and behave that way? But they're stuck as anyone else, possibly even more so.
Yeah.
Have compassion. I mean, would you like to be leader of a country? I hate it. I mean, God, imagine that responsibility. Having to play all the political games, and I mean, it's not a nice reality. It can't be. Yes, they have seeming power and status, but like, imagine having to deal with all that stuff continuously.
Sure. There's no peace of mind.
No, where's the peace of mind?
No peace, not even in 1 second.
Yeah, exactly. There's a story of a guy called Xu Wu, who's a Chinese mystic. And so this Chinese emperor came to him, and he's feeling kind of stressed out and overwhelmed by his kingdom that he has to govern. And he says to Xu Wu, well, you seem to be really wise. I'm tired of this. Why don't you take over? I'll give you the whole kingdom. You become king. And Xu Wu was like, no. That's not going to happen. I'm quite happy in my forest, living a very simple life. I don't want to go into a palace and a court and have all this drama and intrigue going on. I'm quite happy just leading this very simple life. Because that's where peace of mind comes from.
Oh, that's where peace of mind comes from.
Just simplicity of just your spirit, and you don't have all these ego dramas going on, and he's just happy leading a very simple life. And bless you.
Thank you.
So compassion is, and it's actually not in the compassion is not in the course. He doesn't use the word, but he uses empathy. So you could say this is empathy, just to understand where someone's at, because it softens your judgment. You see, you can, even if you can't fully radically forgive them yet, it's a halfway house, because you're saying, okay, well, I understand. I'm starting to understand that this isn't easy for you, and you're really struggling, and so.
Yeah, it does soften the judgment.
It softens your judgment. And
that's
what you're trying to do with this process. Because if you can understand why someone's behaving, even if they're behaving really badly, if you understand why, then it makes it easier to deal with. And so then you move on. That's kind of the preparation. The first 5 are the preparation.
The other thing that softens the judgment is taking responsibility yourself for the projection.
So that's kind of step 4. Step 5 is kind of reminding yourself that this person is also struggling, and if they're behaving badly, then it means they're in the ego. They're trapped, just as you are, and they actually need release. So Then you move to step 6. So this is where you just feel the emotions. So, okay, so let me really feel this fully. Whatever the thoughts are, whatever the emotions, let me go into them and really experience them. So you're not hiding away from it. And in the full experience of it, you can then start to let it go. So yeah, you journal this. If you're writing this, you'd write this out and say, okay, so what am I actually feeling here? Anger, hatred, resentment. Just let it all out. Don't censor anything, whatever. Just allow those feelings to come. Because as you allow yourself to experience them, then you can release them. So you experience them fully, and then you can go, okay, well, I've experienced it for a few minutes, and it doesn't feel very good, to be honest. None of these emotions feel good. It's sad, it's upsetting, whatever. But I can now choose to let go of it. So you just need to make a decision that you don't want this painful, negative feeling anymore. And just do some breath work. So you breathe in the light, let it come in to your heart center, feel that there's another presence coming over you, and then as you exhale, you release it. So you can imagine that you're blowing dark smoke out of your mouth. So all these visualizations are just there to help you. The breath and the visualization, they're to help you to let go of the energy of the thought and the feeling, because that energy is what's keeping you stuck.
Yeah.
And so it's a choice, and then you have the mechanisms of the breath and the visualization to help you to let it go. And you should feel a sense of release if you really do this correctly. You should feel that there is a sense of a release. Some of that energy's gone, maybe not all of it, but some of it's gone, and you notice that you do feel better. You feel lighter, clearer. And so then you move into appreciating the perfection. Say, yes, I appreciate this. The situation was all perfect. This is the mirror. Everything's a mirror. This is showing me my ego, which is very helpful to be able to see my ego like this, and then let it go. So without this person, the situation, I don't get to see that part of my ego and undo it. So it's very important that I see it. So this experience is all part of this process of at-one-ment. I need these experiences that trigger me in order to move through them, to let them go. And as I let them go, I'm letting go of the ego that's keeping me in prison. So that's the simple methodology, saying as these things arise, you can let them go, then you're undoing the foundation of the ego, which is just thought and emotion. And so how can you not be grateful for that? Step 9. Just thank the person or the people involved and the entire situation for being your teacher, because they taught you a lesson. And if you've really forgiven it, then that's powerful. This is how you're going to escape. That person gave you a powerful forgiveness lesson. That's part of your journey home. So why would you resist that? Would you say, oh, that shouldn't have happened? No, it absolutely should have, because this is how you escape from the dream. So why would you not be, if this person is really helping you to escape from this nightmare illusion of separation and go back to heaven, why would you not be grateful? Gratitude would be a natural, yeah, this person is helping me get home to eternal love and light. It may not seem like it on the surface, but actually that's what is happening. So it's to completely reinterpret it. And if you really get that, then you can't feel resentful or angry anymore. See? So this is the test. Is there still some resentment? Do I still feel that like hardcore of like, there's some anger there? I'm like, oh, or is it just soft and gentle? And I can actually really genuinely go, okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
And you can't fudge this. You'll know, when you're at the step, how does it feel? If there's still resentment, then job's not quite done. You need to do the process again. So just, this is like a deep cleaning for the mind. Just do it again and again and again and then you might write them out. So Iona, we were talking about this forgiveness exercise here. So forgiving and releasing completely is the Final stage. So write the following as an affirmation: I forgive you and I'm forgiven completely. All is forgiven and released. And then this is kind of an extension of that. So you could then move into putting your forgiveness in writing. So this is on page 33, and you'd say your name, write your name, forgive you, whoever the person is, my projection, for doing whatever that you think they've done to me. All is forgiven and released completely. We are one. So write that out 35 times in the morning, 35 times in the evening. Do that for 7 days, and it's almost certain by the end of the 7 days you will have forgiven them.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on how serious you are and then how deep-seated it is. Maybe you can let it go in one session of that. But sometimes these things are, quite deep-seated. I did this with my father, and it really worked, I have to say. It was a very deep cleaning of my mind. I went through this, and I did it 35 times morning, 35 times evening, 490 times. And I think by the end of it...
Did he know the difference? Did it change your reaction?
No, I mean, he's still fast asleep, so that hasn't changed. But
you've changed.
Just less, there's less charge, I don't
You don't react.
Whatever, okay, whatever. He's an old man now. He's confused. He's getting dementia. It's like, I just kind of got to feel compassion. He's got himself so enslaved into the ego, and now it's too late. He can't now start a major transformation at 85, half senile. It's not going to happen, is it?
I started talking to my mother really deeply about spiritual things when she was 85.
Did you?
Okay. Yeah, I did. She was quite deep into her dimension. It was beautiful.
Really?
And it actually worked.
I should try that with my mother, because she's...
Maybe my dementia will open my dad up. Who knows?
Exactly.
But at the moment, I think he's feeling very sad and very angry.
Yeah.
He's in that phase of like, he knows that he's losing the plot.
Yep.
And he feels like something's wrong, and he's upset about it, and he's angry, and he hasn't gone, like, I think you go beyond that, and then they kind of go away with the fairies, and they're just like, hey, everything's cool. Everything's just dropped away.
And you can tell him that everything is cool. My mother used to say, you're the only person I can really talk to. Everybody else would think I was crazy.
So
and this was her and her dementia.
Yeah, because she had moments of lucidity.
Oh yeah.
So he's kind of, he's not fully, but he's going that way, and I think he's just mentally and emotionally very angry and stuck, because it's like, well, this shouldn't be happening to me. He's never really done any spiritual work, so there's no ability to let go and just accept and surrender. He hasn't learned any of those skills, so it's quite challenging at this age to start learning. But who knows? You never know. Or maybe it's for another life. It's one doesn't know. Everyone's got their journey. But from my point of view, to do this with him was very helpful. I really felt like there was a release, and it just dropped the charge, like the anger and the resentment just dropped away. And I was like, okay, well, just whatever, this is what it is. He is what he is. He's not going to change, and that's okay. And I just kind of got on with my life. So, when I interact with them now, there's no charge really. It's like, well, whatever. It's fairly neutral, which was an improvement on how it was.
Oh.
So you can really use this for deep-seated stuff, parents and special relationships that trigger you, and it does work. After 400 times of doing it, you're so sick of writing it. It's just like, just let this go, for God's sakes. Like, seriously. That's part of the thing. Like, I have to keep doing this. Tired of But what I also found is that in the writing of it, sometimes I would kind of go on. So you could go into free flow, and you could kind of go, okay, well, maybe there's more stuff. And I think I ended up writing like a page forgive you for, whatever. And it's just like free flow of, and that's kind of just releasing it. So it's another modality to bring it all up and become aware of it and then release it. So, use it. As you say, the tools are all there. I'm giving you the tools, but you've got to use them. And it just takes some time and commitment to do that. So you got the 10-step process. That's a written process. You've got this, which is also a written process. So I've actually incorporated into the daily schedule I'm sending you. If anyone reads that, I don't know if anyone does, but it's in there. So if you kind of follow that as a guideline, it's in there. Morning, do 35 times. Evening, do 35 times. As part of your daily spiritual practice for the next, we now Wednesday. I think I started on Monday. So still got a bit of a few days to go. Just do it as much as you can. And then, just some of these other shorter ones. I don't know if you've read them, but this Ho'oponopono is a nice one. Can be very effective. It's quite short and sweet, to the point. So if it works for you, use it. And what you're really saying is, I'm sorry to myself. I'm sorry for doing this to myself. That's what you're really saying. I'm sorry. I've made an error here. I've made a mistake in my thoughts and perception. So I'm sorry. Please forgive me. You're asking for forgiveness. All is forgiven and released completely. So again, I put that in, by the way. The italics is not due length. The original didn't have that. And then thank you. So that's the gratitude again, giving thanks that it's done. And thank you is saying that this is a done deal. It's already done. So it's a powerful form of affirmation. And then I love you. I love you unconditionally. I'll put in the unconditionally because it's really an affirmation of, that self-love. So experiment with it, use it. So it can be quite helpful in short instances. I mean, the course gives us these workbook lessons, so you can use those. But I figured, like, if you've got all these tools and something really works, you might go, oh, the Ho'oponopono really works for me. Okay, well, great, use it then. So it's the same idea. You're just letting go. And these are just techniques to help you to let go. And this comes from another tradition, the Hawaiian tradition. And the original version of this was Divine Creator. In fact, why don't you read that, Elaine? Mona Simeona's original Ho'oponopono prayer.
Divine Creator, Father, Mother, Son as one. If I, my family, relatives, and ancestors have forgotten you in thoughts, words. Sorry.
Hi, John.
Hi, Joe. Hi, everybody.
Hi, John. If I, my family, relatives, and ancestors have forgotten you in thoughts, words, deeds, and actions from the beginning of our creation to the present, we ask your forgiveness. Let this cleanse, purify, release, cut all the negative memories, blocks, energies, and vibrations, and transmute these unwanted energies to pure light. And it is done. That's the original.
Yeah, and then so Hugh Lane just made it into a very simple 10-word formula. So that's the masculine version. That's the feminine version, shall we say, of it. Just same. You're asking for forgiveness. You're asking to be released. And if you ask and you accept it, you will receive it. So again, this form of the prayer, it's quite nice and poetic. If that works for you, then use it. And what I would do at some point, probably not in this course, but I'm going to do some recordings on these. So have a little guided, meditation on this, so you can listen to it.
Because he's actually saying there, forgiveness. Let's just go back there. Negative memories present. Forgiveness, What does it say something about the present? Where did I see it?
In this one.
Present, creation, beginning of our creation. Deeds and actions from the beginning of our creation to the present. No, but it's not in that sense. No. Yeah.
So there's another, sorry, John, I've just been listening. There's another version of that, which is actually in the second book that they wrote. If you just give me a moment, I'll go to it. I have it here. It says Divine Creator, Superconscious or Christ Conscious. Please locate the origin of my thoughts and feelings about. Take each and every level, layer, area, and aspect of my being to the origin. Analyze it and resolve it perfectly with God's truth and love. Come through all generations of time and eternity, healing every incident and its appendage based on the origin. Please do this in accordance with God's will until I'm at the present filled with light and truth, God's peace and love, forgiveness for myself for my incorrect perception, forgiveness for every person, place, circumstance, and event that contributed to these thoughts, these feelings. I thank you that all is forgiven and released completely, and I love you and I trust you. Amen.
That's nice. I mean, all these are forms of what you're trying to access is this divine energy, this state of mind where there's just purity and innocence and light, and bring that into mind through these prayers and these techniques. Use them if they work. And then there's a forgiveness prayer here, which might also work. So, do you want to read that, Iona?
I bless this day and give thanks for my life. I forgive all the people who have apparently hurt me completely, and I ask all people I have apparently hurt to forgive me. I apologize to myself for all my wrongs to myself and my wrongs to others. I apologize for all my apparent hurts or wrongs to all life forms.
So it's kind of saying, yes, I'm acknowledging the error and I'm willing to correct it. And then Patricia, if you want to read the next one.
I know it's not a full page on my iPad.
I can't see. Okay.
Only got you and a little bit of whatever you're showing. I can see the end of your computer though, which is weird. Oh, actually, no, I've got it. I just have to move this. Okay. Is this the forgiveness prayer?
Yeah, so with this release.
With this release, for freedom, peace, power, and new life, I bless all creation in the entire universe, and I fill the entire universe with my love. I love and bless the earth, all life and all humanity. I love, bless, and respect the visible and the invisible. I rejoice and give thanks for my new life, power, and health. I give complete blessing and love to all life, always. I deserve divine love, the divine love of God. I am the divine son, daughter of God. Amen.
So you'd say your name there. So yeah, there's Elaine again. So these are just some techniques you can use. Experiment with them, see how they go. As I said, at some point, and I think I'm just do some recordings on them. So maybe tonight we could start. I'll take you through meditation on this. And then there's has anyone been doing this forgiveness in writing? Elaine just said she's been doing it. But anyone been doing it?
No.
No. Did you kind of miss out on it? So yeah, give it a bash. The idea is you write this out 35 times in the morning, 35 times in the evening. Pick something that you're really struggling to forgive, that there's clearly some negative mental and emotional energy around, and then use it. And if you do it 35 times in the morning, 35 times in the evening for 7 days, watch what happens. It's pretty unlikely that you won't have let it go by the end of it. So,
Jono, can I just say something about what Elaine said in the beginning when she was reading her forgiveness? And then she said she did it wrong.
Yeah.
And she would have to do it again. And you said, we both agreed, no, that wasn't necessary. So in the course under what is the ego, in between the lessons after lesson 330, yet will one lily of forgiveness change the darkness into light, the altar of illusions to the shrine of life itself. And I just wanted to say that to her, we do not know when we do something wholeheartedly, the difference it makes, not just to us, but to the whole world. And so just one lily of forgiveness. So I honor you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. If you're willing to do it, like the form of it doesn't matter as much as the intention, like that you're willing to do it. You really want to let it go. And then these are just different ways of looking at it, different techniques. But in the end, it's a letting go of that negative mental and emotional energy, however that's accomplished, that you're looking for. So try these, up to you whether you do them or not. I put it in the daily schedule. So morning and evening, 35 times, pick an issue and work with it over the next 7 days, and you might find some transformation happens. And then, I guided you through a meditation on these yesterday, so I just wanted to have a quick look at them. So again, these are just little visualizations you can use. Like in a couple of minutes, you can just go, okay, well, let me imagine I'm popping the bubble, for instance. So I bring to mind a situation that's disturbing my peace. Imagine it's just a bubble of thought and emotion, and you just take a pin and you burst it. And that little mental exercise can help you to let it go. And I've experimented with all of these, they do work. So you got these little tools. So you go, okay, well, why don't I just do, I'm struggling with that. Okay, let me just pop the bubble. Let me clean the window. Imagine that this is just dirt caked on a windscreen. And I'm now taking this miracle formula cleaning liquid, and I'm just wiping all this dirt away. I'm cleaning the windscreen, cleaning my perception. And the visualization helps you to clear some of that thought and emotion away. So again, try and use it, see if it works for you. And then, you imagine you're driving forward and actually you can see clearly now. Unplugging from the Matrix. So we're going to watch the Matrix on Saturday evening, just so you know. I think we discussed that yesterday at 6:30 UK time. That's 8:30 SA time. We might actually do a little meditation. I'll do this unplugged from the Matrix meditation as part of it. That could be nice. So that's
what time is it?
So it's 6:30 UK, 8:30 South African time on Saturday. So we'll watch it and then we'll have some commentary and stuff on it, which is fun. It's a lot of these movie evenings are fun. We do them once a month as part of our ongoing program. And then you could also use the Star Wars lightsaber. So it's like you've got a lightsaber and you take it to your heart center and you activate it, and that light, just you can imagine light going into your heart, and then you can take it up your spine from the base chakra, flowing up your spine. And these visualizations, they activate energy, they move energy, there's no doubt. So they can help you to just connect and to let go of negative energy, because that's what it's all about. connect with a more positive energy, and it's just a way of doing that. And then you can do the Ho'oponopono we just done. So and go through the 5 steps of the modified Ho'oponopono. And then finally, you could just surrender. So visualize a golden or white light streaming down into your crown through your whole body. Give it all over to divine source and just have a sense of letting go to that light. And that's often used, quite good to use it in conjunction. You've done one of the others and then you end up with this. So you can combine these into different, and there you see I've got a meditation that guides you through the 8 phases and 6 advanced letting go techniques, detailed by clicking or tapping here. So that'll, you can actually go download that if you want. I do have a meditation on the whole thing. What I might do is create little meditations on each one, like little breath breaks. In future, I haven't done that yet, but and on each of these. So okay, here's a meditation for Hugh Len's Ho'oponopono. Here's the alternative Ho'oponopono. So you've got it, because then you just guide it through it. Would that be helpful if I did that?
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be lovely.
Oh. Because then it just makes it more usable. You know, you can just put on a record, be guided through it, relax and just breathe and relax into it and be guided through the process. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be for the next course. This stage is probably a little late. Well, we'll see. Yeah, but I'm quite busy. So so any questions on these?
No, thank you, John. I think you did a good explanation.
Okay. So yeah, just encourage you to experiment with them, use them, and see what comes. So maybe given we kind of on meditation type stuff, shall we do a meditation now?
Okay.
Let's do a meditation, and then we'll come out of it and go into I'll guide you through the workbook lesson, and then we can go into some text reading. Okay, so just making yourselves comfortable. You're sitting feet shoulder width apart. I'm going to put you on mute. Or standing if you want to stand, feet shoulder width apart. Up your hands in your lap, keep your back straight. Close your eyes. And just start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So you're breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And just pausing at the top of the inhale. Clench the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Feel this warm, tingling wave of energy rising up the spine to your heart center. Put one hand on your heart. And then draw it up into the crown of your head. Just pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile. So just scan your mind. So looking for any thoughts, any emotions, any sensations. Just observe those thoughts very casually in this kind of dispassionate way. As you look at those thoughts, remind yourself that my thought about whatever it is or whoever it is does not mean anything. And be willing just to let it go with the help of your breath. So you exhale out through your mouth, letting it all go. The breeze of your breath. Allow stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. So You just sink inwards, find some peace and some stillness in the gap between breaths, in the gap between words. Find some peace and some stillness. Just immersing yourself in that field beyond thoughts. So it's about going beyond subject-object dualistic thoughts into pure formless awareness. So breathing in again. So you're breathing in the light. Imagine a beautiful golden or white light flowing to every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body. Just do it systematically. So imagine this light flowing into the crown of your head, down through the back of your head, through your face, relaxing your jaw. Feeling a lovely lump, heavy, warm, relaxed, tingling feeling, and this golden or white light that goes with it, flowing in your neck and shoulders, to your upper arms, streaming down through your biceps and your triceps, to your forearms, your elbows, your wrists, hands, back of your hands, palms of your hands, the fingers, fingertips. Let's feel the sensations in your body. So it's bringing awareness or light into your body. So just breathing comfortably in and out through your nose. Breathing in the light to every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, moment by moment, inch by inch. Just notice the feeling in your hands, back of your hands, palms of your hands. All that feeling up through your arms, your forearms, the underside of your arms. Through your elbows, to your upper arms, to your triceps and your biceps. And it's getting more and more relaxed with each breath. Let this light spread through every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body. Let this awareness, this light awareness, flow down your upper back to your chest, to your stomach and your lower back feeling really lump heavy, soft and warm, just sinking more into this beautiful, peaceful state of mind. So you can feel this energy, you can maybe see the light. Let this, the lump heavy, warm, relaxed feeling flow through your stomach, to your groin, your buttocks, and flow down to your upper thighs, the back of your thighs. Down to your knees and your shins, your calves, your ankles. Your feet and your toes. The whole body is completely lump heavy. Warm, relaxed, just filled with this light. Maybe you just feel it, sense it. Maybe you can visualize light. If you're visual, you might see a golden or white light or another color light, fusing every cell, every muscle of your body. Draw this light up through tips of your toes on one long sweeping inhale. Just run your awareness in this light, because light is pure formless awareness, through every cell of your feet, up through your shins, your ankles, your calves. And you feel this light penetrating in. It's going more than skin deep, going to the very core of your mind, to the core of the body, the energy underlies the body. Draw the energy up. Thighs, back of your thighs. To your groin, your buttocks. Feel a really lump heavy, warm, tingling sensation. And spread into your heart center. Just inhaling all the love and all the gratitude. So we pour every cell, every muscle of the body. And run your awareness from your heart center up into your neck and your shoulders. Breathing into any areas of tension there, just relaxing them. Observe your arms hanging lumpily and heavily off the body. And draw it up through neck and shoulders all the way up, this back of the head, front of the head, through your face, relaxing your jaw, relaxing your ears. And you come to rest in this quiet, peaceful, silent state. Silent embrace, the mystics have called it. Your mind is not active anymore. It's not attached to anything, just observing. So just feel like your entire body, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, and then all the way back, is in the light. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Just be in this divine light. Surrender, give yourself over completely to the light. There's nowhere where the light begins and you end. So notice any obstructive thoughts. Again, breathe in to create some space, some awareness, some light. Notice how that light grows as you breathe in. So nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. The next few minutes of deep silence, just surrender to the light. Just observe your breath, watching the breath flow in and flow out through your nostrils. Puts you in the witness state, the observer, not trying to create anything. In the level of form, just being willing to go. Sink into the light, be one with the light, merge with it. Its thoughts arise, use today's idea, today's lesson. Immediately you notice that thought. Just say, my thoughts about whoever or whatever does not mean anything. And just let everything go and be in the light for a couple of minutes of deep silence. Again, if any thoughts arise, just observe them casually. Name them, say, my thought about whatever it is, whoever it is. Does not mean anything. Help it away. Blow it away with the breeze of your breath. Exhale. Imagine this is another shorter letting go process. Just to imagine that thoughts are like clouds, just drifting by. They are impermanent. So you just let go of these pointless thoughts. They're just clouds. They have no true impact on the sky, which is your pure formless awareness, eternal sky of your mind, or the source, the light of your source that illuminates that awareness. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about, just breathe, relax, be still, and sink into the light. There's nowhere where the light begins and you end. It's one continuum. So give yourself over to this light completely, fully. Feel it, experience it deeply for a couple of minutes of deep silence. So just gently coming back into awareness of the body and the breath and the senses and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And scan your mind, so notice any thoughts, any emotions going on. And remind yourself that my thoughts do not really mean anything. So my thought about whatever it is, just apply it without discrimination. Whatever the thought is, just say my thought about whoever or whatever. It does not mean anything. And this idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. And then you just exhale, with a sense of releasing that thought. If it's meaningless, you don't have to hold on to it. And just let it go to the nothingness it really is. Notice the air flowing out. Your mouth, chest and the stomach suck back in. Notice the energy subsiding back down from the crown of your head, down the front channel of your body, into rest in your lower stomach and your groin. So while your attention is down there, on the count of 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you are feeling and touching. Your hands, maybe there's a subtle flow of air in your skin. Notice that. Breathe the air in. Notice any smell in your nose as you do that. Any taste in your mouth. Just tuning into the subtleties. Very, very subtle energies and vibrations we normally miss because we're not actually tuned into the present. So it's becoming subtle in your perceptions. And notice how peaceful it is. When you just perceive everything as it is, no judgment, no interpretation, no naming or labeling or judging. So notice what you're hearing. Without any judgment, you allow the sounds to arise and then they pass away. Things arise and just pass away. If it's a continuous sound, like say the whirring of your computer fan, notice that. Notice that it has an underlying stillness. Underlies the sound. Underlying stillness, which you can connect with even while the sound is there. So notice that. Notice how deeply restful it is when you perceive that stillness. Connects you with your own still mind. Silence and stillness go hand in hand. So on the count of 3, open your eyes. Just look around for a minute. Just observing the same casual, detached way, the various objects in the room around you. And remind yourself that you're really not seeing anything as it is now. And go back to lesson 4, my thoughts do not mean anything. They are like the things I think I see in this room. So what I see in this room doesn't really mean anything. And notice how that feels. Just let your eyes randomly rest on an object for a few seconds in this calm, detached way. Notice the feeling and then move on to something else. Do that for, say, half a dozen things. And notice that actually your perception is the same. Everything's the same. The underlying awareness of everything is the same. So there's no distinction between the computer and the phone and a body and a TV screen and whatever else you see. Underlying awareness says the light is the same no matter what. So just try and stay present in this nice, calm, relaxed state. Keep some attention on the breath as we go through this. And yeah, let's move into some reading. I'll just say hello to Lucy. Hi, Lucy. Nice to see you again.
Hi, Jono. Yeah, really good to be here.
Glad you could join us.
Mm-hmm.
You caught the tail end of the meditation, so we're going to go into anything to share, by the way. We've all done a bit of sharing.
Well, I just noticed how grumpy I was today, that I didn't catch the sessions because I was being good. I was being well behaved, looking after other people.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, I couldn't really have equanimity around that somehow. A sense of wanting to be somewhere else other than where I was. Yeah.
Which creates a conflict in your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I kept coming back, but I noticed my mind kept looking at the time and being disappointed, you know. It's like,
you can make it.
yeah. Like, oh no, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I need to tidy up, I need to feed, you know, we've got doing a caravan conversion and people are here and they want to be fed, and you know, and it's lovely to feed them, but somehow it's like, well, I need to just do what I want to do as well. It's sense of duty, and yeah, really interesting dilemma.
Well, as we were discussing today, you know, I know had some similar things. She was saying, well, I know I need to update my website, but I don't really want to do it, and I don't want to do a grant application for some money, and so that's your spiritual practice then. You know, you're taking the ideas into whatever you're doing and saying, well, if I don't resist them, I can just accept. So Eckhart Tolle's got quite an interesting kind of concept of conscious doing. He talks about 3 levels of conscious doing. Quite helpful. So first level is just acceptance. So if I have any kind of resistance, then I'm not in acceptance. That's anything other than acceptance is resistance. So you're probably noticing a bit of that. But if you can just notice that arises, and then you go, okay, well, I can let this go. You know, it's just a feeling, it's just a thought, it's a feeling, it's an energy. I can do a breath break. So that's why I give you these breath breaks, because you can just listen to one. You know, if you can take 5 minutes and just do it, then it's going to just reset. And so you may not be able to do a whole hour session or 2-hour session, but you can do 5 minutes and just kind of let it go and reset. That's the idea. So you know, use them just to, because once you get good at this, you can reset in a few minutes. Doesn't necessarily have to take hours. And then you're like, okay, well, let me just accept I am here now and I'm doing it and I'm accepting it. And then if you enter into that, you might actually find a sense of enjoyment coming in. That's the second level. So it can start with acceptance, but even acceptance isn't too bad. Like if you can only accept it, you're kind of neutral. You know, there's no resistance. You're not feeling upset or bad. Well, that's a huge improvement from the resistant state of the ego, where it actually is quite interbulating, quite disturbing to your peace of mind. And then you can move from that into maybe a sense of more enjoyment, which starts arising as you kind of get into it. You might go, oh, actually, this is quite, you know, once I've dropped my resistance, what's to stop me from enjoying the moment, enjoying the process of whatever? I'm feeding people. Okay, well, I'm feeding people. Hey, I'm enjoying the cooking. I'm enjoying the serving. I'm having a chat to them, whatever, you know, and you kind of get into the flow with it. And then you go, oh, actually, I'm quite enjoying this. There's a sense of freedom and, you know, some kind of lightness in it, happiness. You don't even have to define it. It's just a feeling like everything's okay. So you're taking that acceptance and just allowing it to kind of expand a bit into enjoyment. And some things it's easy to enjoy, like, you know, if you like, Iona likes painting, well, that's easy to enjoy. And then you can find your flow, but you need to learn to at least accept the things where you're not doing your favorite preference, you know, whatever your so-called passion is. And then that becomes your practice for the day. Okay, well, I need to practice this here now where I am.
So it's interesting that idea, Jono, of being in a place of acceptance, because I would say that I default to acceptance, but sometimes I think the thought that comes in is, is my will being co-opted? So am I following somebody else's script here, or am I really choosing? Am I choosing? And then, because I can be in a place of acceptance, even if somebody else is saying, well, I really want you to do this, and then that and that. And I go, yeah, I'd love to. But then just this thought creeps in, you know, is this, am I not choosing, you know, have I just gone a bit floppy and let somebody else tell me what they want? And I'm kind of going, yeah, I'd love to. Or am I really in a place of acceptance, you know, because I don't know the difference always, you know.
Oh, so it's discernment. If someone's asking you to do something and it feels right, and you can really get into that space for you, well, does that feel right for me? And be guided by the Spirit, then it's right. Even if they asked you to do it, it doesn't matter. Because you got to be careful that the ego can come in and go, oh, well, I'm only resisting because like I want to do it my way. It has to be my way. And like, am I just being a patsy here, just kind of folding over and letting everyone run roughshod over me? But they can't run roughshod over you if you're in acceptance and you're flowing with it. They cannot. If it feels wrong and someone's like trying to impose their will on you, and they clearly like, and you just feel like, no, you know, this isn't really helpful for me or them. And that's really the barometer, you know, the prayer to be truly helpful. What is helpful here, really? So if it's helpful for me and them, then yes, okay, I feel, and I'll go with it. If they've asked me to do something, I'll do it freely. I'll do it in service, spirit of service. But then, you know, people can abuse that. It can be like a time where like, okay, well, someone's just now using and abusing, and I feel that. You feel that. The more discerning you get about this stuff, you feel it, and then you're quite entitled to say no. That's okay. No, without any particular charge, without feeling guilty about it, just saying, look, no, that doesn't work for me. Sorry. And that's an acceptance too. Okay, well, I'm accepting that. Yeah, that's actually not the right. It's not the right thing for me to be doing, and so I can say no. So it just doesn't mean you always say yes. It doesn't mean you just become a yes person. It means you have discernment, and you're not resisting for the wrong reason. Like the ego is causing resistance, it just resists for the sake of resisting. So you drop that, and you're able to drop into an acceptance pretty easily, and then you kind of flow with things. And then within that state, if something just doesn't feel right, you can say no. Say no, sorry, that doesn't feel right. And that's, you know, then you are in your power. And you do start to, the more you work with this, then the more discernment you get. I think the more you apply these spiritual teachings and practices, you do start to get into quite a wise state where you just kind of know, okay, yes, that feels right, that feels flowing. So yes, I can go with that. I can accept that, and I'm not any the less for it, because it's actually part of my own experience, and I'm learning from it, and I'm enjoying it. And then there's times when you go, no, you know, actually that feels like someone's forcing their will upon me. They're using me, and that's not helpful for me or them, because then there's a manipulation control pattern going on, which is egoic. So then that's not helpful. I need to walk away from it, stop this.
I find myself that when I get asked to do things, I might be taken a little bit by surprise, and I think, well, my ego says I won't do that, but perhaps I will, and then I'll do it, and sometimes it can turn out good, and sometimes it can not turn out good.
Yeah. So if you start observing, well, when it turns out well, then how was I feeling? If it turned out well, how was I feeling when I did that? When I decided, yes, okay, I'll go with that. And on the flip side, how was I feeling when it didn't turn out well? And maybe you can notice a difference there. Because that difference will tell you in the future, well, it's a kind of a feeling. This Holy Spirit ego thing is tricky because it's a feeling. We're dealing with feelings, thoughts, feelings, emotions. But if you can start to tune into what the feeling feels like, you go, oh, I know that feeling. Okay, yes. Okay, so I'm having that feeling. Now you've got a way of discerning, what's true and what's not. So the Holy Spirit tends to be quite peaceful, quite calm. It's quite subtle. It's quite gentle. Not necessarily, strong and impulsive and like you have to do this now. But it's got a power of its own. It's kind of more persistent because it'll just kind of knock at the door of your awareness continuously until you listen. So it's to learn to determine, like, what does that feel like? What does that feeling feel like? And then the more you do that, the easier it gets to be able to identify it and say, yes, okay, that is the spirit then. I'm feeling it. It's peaceful, it's calm, it's gentle, and it's saying, go with things. It's saying go with it. And then go with it. I've done a few quite different things in my life. And at the time it was just like, I remember the one, it was just like, just go with this. There was a very like feeling of like, okay, just go with this. And although it's really not what you would normally do, there was quite a peaceful feeling about it. Go with this, just surrender to it and go with it. And so there was some guidance there, and I accepted. I went with it, and that experience did actually change my life. It put me in a whole different direction, pathway in my life. So yeah, it's just learning to like tap into that feeling. Go, what does that feeling feel like? And if it feels right, and that's the spirit, that's your intuition speaking to you, then go with it, because it's never wrong. It may seem, temporarily, so like, oh, I remember that particular experience, like, oh, what have I done here? But in the bigger picture, in the grand scheme, it was exactly what I needed to do. It just, there was a bit of chaos and turbulation there to ensue. So we've all got to kind of just tune into that voice and learn for ourselves what it feels like. And the more you practice, the more spiritual practice you do, the more you do learn that. You start to get into what this feels like. It's not so much thought as feeling, like a deeper feeling. That's why in these this particular lesson today, saying, this thought does not mean anything. He's trying to empty your mind of all that clutter that stops you, the questioning, the doubting, and get you into a state where you empty and you open for the spirit to come through and just give you the feeling. You've got to clear away all the garbage first. Okay, so any thoughts on today's lesson? It's a pretty simple one, but any thoughts, comments, questions? We did it this afternoon, but I'm happy to read the paragraphs if you want. You can read the first 3 paragraphs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Lucy, will you read paragraph 1 for us?
Do you want to read it from the book or the screen?
Oh, yeah, I could read it from the book, actually. Where is it here?
Mm-hmm.
The idea applies to all the thoughts of which you are aware, or become aware in the practice periods. The reason the idea is applicable to all of them is that they are not your real thoughts. We have made this distinction before, and we will do so again. You have no basis for comparison as yet. When you do, you will have no doubt that what you once believed were your thoughts did not mean anything.
Okay, I think you've frozen. So any thoughts on that? Anyone else? Comments, questions on what he's saying there?
I think he's guiding us to realize that, there's much more going on than our superficial thoughts, really.
Not our real thoughts. So a real thought is, you might go, well, what is a real thought then? A real thought is coming from pure formless awareness, and so it's not subject-object dualistic. It's much more kind of feeling thought. Like not I think this. It's actually quite quiet and gentle. And so you might just have a feeling of love or compassion for someone. You might have a feeling of gratitude. You could say that's a thought, because it's all thought, really. Any thought, emotion is part of the mind, so it's part of thought. But it's not the typical subject-object dualistic thought that we're so used to. And what he's trying to get us out of is the habit of just thinking these thoughts unconsciously and going, yes, well, these are all true and real, with these exercises. Okay, so any more questions on number 1? Saying you have no basis for comparison. So as we go in this, he's saying you will get to the point where you will have no doubt that what you once believed or your thoughts did not mean anything. So it's a process. Okay. So number 2, John, do you want to read paragraph 2?
Yeah, this is the second time we have used this kind of idea. The form is only slightly different. This time the idea is introduced with my thoughts instead of these thoughts. And no link is made overtly with the things around you. The emphasis is now on the lack of reality of what you think you think. So it's bringing us from the external, looking at things and saying this is not really a computer, or I don't know anything about this computer, to looking internally at my thoughts, and I do not understand these.
Yeah. So pointing to the mind.
A lack of a reality of what we think we think.
Yeah. So it's quite profound stuff. It's asking you to question every thought you have. So it doesn't have any meaning. That doesn't rock your world a bit. But this is the correction process. We need to empty our minds in order to be able to listen to the spirit and hear our true thoughts. They're coming from our true awareness. Okay, number 3. Patricia, you want to read number 3 for us?
Aspect of correction process began with the idea that the thoughts of which you are aware are meaningless, outside rather than within, and then stress their past rather than their present state. Now we are emphasizing that the presence of these thoughts means that you are not thinking. This is merely another way of repeating the earlier statement that your mind is really a blank. To recognize this is to recognize nothingness. When you think, you see it. As such, it is the prerequisite for vision.
Anything stand out for you there?
Yes. This is merely another way of repeating our earlier statement that your mind is really blank. I think it's also emphasizing that we're so focused on the past that we're never present in this moment. And in clearing the idea that these thoughts do not mean anything is the prerequisite for vision.
And he refers to as the idea that the mind is really blank. Another way of repeating an earlier statement, that your mind is really blank when you're thinking meaningless thoughts. We think that that's thinking. We think that these are real thoughts, but actually they're not. They're just illusion, just a whole bunch of false thoughts blowing through our mind. And the only purpose of them is to cover over our pure formless awareness, or God. It's a veil of illusion. So the external world was miscreated by the ego just to justify these thoughts and emotions that cover over pure formless awareness. When you really get that, I was at the end of my Vipassana retreat, I had this very visceral experience, and it was like so clearly obvious that this world is just a projection of the mind, and it's been used to justify all these thoughts and emotions that just cover this awareness that I just had an experience of. And it was quite moving. I cried, because it was just like, wow, how can we have done that? That's so sad, that we would cover over this pure, formless, pristine awareness with all of this rubbish, all these crazy thoughts, and think that that's now reality. And now this pure, formless awareness seems to be nowhere. And what's replaced it is these crazy thoughts about illusions that have no meaning. So it was very, very clear to me, in that from that experience, like that what Jesus is saying is true. And it's just accepting it. These exercises are exercises to help us to train our minds to start accepting this idea. So disbelieving our thoughts, clearing away some of the debris, as he called it in the previous lesson. And then opening ourselves up to spirit, which will direct our thoughts and our feelings in a much more constructive way. But we must undo and let go of the ego first to allow that. So these first exercises and lessons are directed towards undoing the way we think and see currently. And you'll notice he's alternating between perception, so that's how we perceive the world, seeing, as he calls it, and thought in these early lessons, because both are necessary for correction. And I'm actually saying, well, they're just different aspects of the same mindset, the egoic mindset. Okay, so any questions on this? We've practiced it. Questions, comments, thoughts? No. All right, so let's dive into today's text reading then. It's not too bad. I think we've got 8 paragraphs. Okay, 8 paragraphs. So shall we get into it? Who hasn't read? Elaine, you want to read paragraph 1 for us, please?
A further point must be perfectly clear before any residual fear still associated with miracles can disappear. The crucifixion did not establish the atonement. The resurrection did. Many sincere Christians have misunderstood this. No one who is free of the belief in scarcity could possibly make this mistake. If the crucifixion is seen from an upside-down point of view, it does appear as if God permitted and even encouraged one of his sons to suffer because he was good. This particularly unfortunate interpretation, which arose out of projection, has led many to be bitterly afraid of pure formless awareness. Such anti-religious concepts enter into many religions. Yet the real Christian should pause and ask, how could this be? It is it likely that pure formless awareness would be capable of this kind of thinking, which its own words have clearly stated is unworthy of his son,
Son
of his extension.
Its extension, yeah.
Its extension.
Yeah. So you might find it easier to read the sentence and then stop and then go back and reread it with the translation. But if you can do it on the fly.
Pure formless awareness itself would be capable of this kind of thinking, which its own words have clearly stated is unworthy of its extension.
That makes sense? Okay, he's talking about the crucifixion. So just leading in, because we can go in the next section into crucifixion. So giving us a little warm up to it. And many Christians misunderstand the crucifixion. So they focus a lot on the crucifixion rather than on the resurrection, because the resurrection is really the resurrection of the mind. And the resurrection established the atonement. Because if you see this from an upside down point of view, it does appear as if God, pure formless awareness, permitted and even encouraged one of his sons, or its own extensions, to suffer because he was good.
It's mad.
So why, then there's a lot of fear that arises around this. It's a bit like the Last Judgment, crucifixion, Last Judgment. It's a lot of fear. Well, if God did that to his only son, who's supposed to be his beloved only son, then, oh my God, what's going to happen to me? I'm just a miserable sinner. Like, if he did that to his son, then what can I expect? And so it actually perpetuates the fear of God, which is illusory. It's not true. There was no punishment. God wasn't sacrificed. The idea that the crucifixion was a sacrifice of his son in order to atone for sins is a complete misunderstanding of what it was about. But that's the conventional view. So, we have to question that and undo it and say, no, it had nothing to do with that. It wasn't about God saying, right, well, sin has happened then, and so something has to die in order to appease me. I mean, like, what kind of a crazy thought system is that? Something must die in order for it to be made right somehow, which was very prevalent thinking at the time. The Old Testament, they would sacrifice animals. It's like, okay, well, there has to be a sacrifice of an animal in order to kind of atone. So I guess they just then projected that idea onto the crucifixion and said, oh, well, now there has to be a sacrifice of God's only son to atone for our sins. And then, of course, conveniently, that's now a get out of jail quickly card, because you can say, oh, well, if I believe in Jesus, he died for my sins, and that's all I have to do. I don't have to do any work. And actually, work on myself and become like him and do my own forgiveness, because he died for my sins. So that's it. It's a done deal. I'm saved. And you can kind of see how that belief would have risen, because it was easy. See, quick, easy, get rich, get enlightened quickly, go to heaven quickly kind of mentality. So the equivalent of a get rich quick scheme in spirituality, really saying, okay, well, just all you got to do is believe in this guy. He's the super uber son of God. He's the Christ. You believe in him. He died for your sins. Done deal. And you home. And everyone like, oh yeah, that sounds good. I'll sign up to that, because that sounds quite easy. All I got to do is like, yes, I give my life to Jesus. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? No, all you have to do is accept Jesus into my life. He's my savior. What does that even mean? So he's got to undo some of these ideas, and the crucifixion is a big one in our mindset to allow the Spirit to come through. Okay, so any questions on number 1? Happy with that? Just kind of an intro paragraph, questioning it, saying like, how could pure formless awareness itself be capable of this kind of thinking?
Yeah.
2. So John, do you want to read that for us?
The best defense, as always, is not to attack another position, but rather to protect the truth. It is unwise to accept any concept if you have to invent a whole frame of reference in order to justify it. This procedure is painful in its minor applications and genuinely tragic on a wider scale. Persecution frequently results in an attempt to justify the terrible misperception that God himself persecuted his own source on behalf of salvation. The very words are meaningless.
Just go and translate that, and we don't have to come back.
Yeah. Persecution frequently results in an attempt to justify the terrible misperception that pure formless awareness itself persecuted its own extension on behalf of salvation.
Mhm.
The very words are meaningless. It has been particularly difficult to overcome this because, although the error itself is no harder to correct than any other, many have been unwilling to give it up in view of its prominent value as a defense. In milder forms, a parent says, "This hurts me more than it hurts you," and feels exonerated in beating a child. Can you believe Source really thinks this way?
Mm.
It is so essential that all such thinking be dispelled that we must be sure that nothing of this kind remains in your mind. I was not punished because you were bad. The wholly benign lesson the at-one-ment teaches is lost if it is tainted with this kind of distortion in any form.
Okay. Want to give us a little summary of that? What's he saying?
Well, he's saying very much that first sentence, really, the best defense as always is not to attack another's position. You don't need to go into that. You don't need to go there.
When he's talking about persecution. So often, people say, well, this persecution was real. God himself persecuted his own son. If you're a traditional Christian, you would, I suppose, believe this. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Patricia. Was that a common belief in your
Yeah. Well, the whole idea is that Jesus died for your sins and that you need to be saved. So in all the times I was in church, I got saved a lot. But the thing was, while you were doing it, you felt fine. But on the Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, you didn't feel so good anymore because your life inside hadn't changed, if I can use those words. It was like you were still, and then the next Sunday they'd be preaching, if you did anything wrong, you're still a sinner, and doom and gloom, So that's where I started to question, what is it I'm really believing? But in the beginning, I took it on pure faith, that this was going to happen, but I didn't feel any better inside. And then I started to really question, what is it that I really believe? And then I'd ask questions about some of the stuff in the Bible, because there are some very beautiful passages in the Bible. And then people go, oh, no, we don't go there. And surely if it's in the Bible and we believe this book, then we have to question what we believe. If the statement, like it says, God is love. It's one sentence in the Bible. In fact, it's like a whole verse. God is love. I said, how could a God of love want to punish us and persecute us? It doesn't make any sense in my mind. Oh, no, we are misunderstanding. No, I don't, because I love my children. And you really begin to see that when you have children, you love them, even if they've done something wrong. You don't persecute them and tell them they're going to hell because they did something. They made a mistake. It's part of life. You forgive them and you move on. And so this idea of being saved is so blown out of proportion, and it doesn't help you to deal with what's going on inside of you. It's very much an outward expression, but it doesn't help you to deal with how you feel in your mind, how your heart feels. It never, ever brought me peace. Yet my mom, on the other hand, because she'd lived this, I don't know what life, because I didn't really live with her because I was in boarding school, it helped her to change her whole life around. So there are people who do benefit from it. And as the Course says, this is one way back to God. It's the fastest, but it's one way back to God. But so there are people who do benefit by it when they come from very, I'm going to use the word sinful life if I can, but that's not really the word I'm looking for. A more dysfunctional life, I think is the right word. And so they have this almost instant release of this dysfunctional life. But I don't think, when I look at my mom now with my sister having committed suicide, I can see how she's questioning what she believes. How can we judge her if that's what the Bible says? There's this sort of feeling around murder, whether it's yourself or anybody else, that's punishable. And then they start questioning, is she in heaven? Where she is she in purgatory? And I'm going, no, you got it all wrong. This is hell. We're in hell. We're trying to get out of it to get to the real world or get to heaven. And that for them is hard to understand. So I found that this whole idea of the crucifixion, I remember when I first read this, I was relieved almost. I didn't have to worry about that anymore. I didn't have to be saved. I was being saved by doing the work and other things. So to me, that was what this, especially this chapter, means to me. And almost a relief that I can let all of my religious beliefs go, because nothing that I ever thought before, this is completely the 180 degree turnaround. And I have to start questioning what I believe and looking at what's available to me.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. So I think he's trying to undo some of these quite deep-seated beliefs that are pretty common, certainly in the Christian teaching, and just correct them and say, well, actually, that's not really what it's about at all.
One of the things I found in the church is that from the moment you arrive, your name gets taken, they almost hound you, if I can use that word, to be saved. So at some point you're being saved, not because it's a real deep-seated calling, but because everybody's telling you this is the only right way to do this. And please understand, I was fully in that church. And once I got saved, I wanted to tell the whole world to be saved. My duty as a Christian now to go out and save other souls. So it was much more of, you have no choice but to do this. And I think once I stepped out of it and I found that I had a choice, that made a huge difference in my life.
Yeah, it's a form of groupthink, really. It's like, okay, well, this is the way, and don't question it too much, because if you question it, you see cracks in the kind of the mindset. So, and that's really what he's doing here. And that's why a lot of Christians, traditional Christians, have huge resistance to the course. They say it's the devil's work and so on, because it undoes a lot of those fundamental beliefs that are simply false, and they're not quite willing to go there then. So then the easiest thing is to deny it and say, oh, well, that's the devil's goed in Afrikaans. Devil's goed. We don't want to go there. But you have to if you're going to correct your mind. Okay. So any questions on paragraph 2? I think we're fairly good with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Idea of persecution just being totally false, and any justification for that being equally false. You say, if you're beating your child, using this justification, that's just not true. Okay, so number 3, Sue, do you want to read for us?
The statement, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord," is a misperception by which one assigns his own evil past to God, or pure formless awareness. The evil past has nothing to do with God. He did not create it, and he does not maintain it. God, or pure formless awareness, does not believe in retribution. Its mind does not create that way. It does not hold your evil deeds against you. Is it likely that it would hold them against me? Be very sure that you recognize how utterly impossible this assumption is, and how entirely it arises from projection. This kind of error is responsible for a host of related errors, including the belief that pure formless awareness rejected Adam and forced him out of the Garden of Eden. It is also why you may believe from time to time that I am misdirecting you. I have made every effort to use words that are almost impossible to distort. But it is always possible to twist symbols around if you wish.
Okay.
Such an amazing book.
Yeah.
Anything strike you there?
Well, I think it's just reiterating that God is not going to be, God does not believe in retribution.
And if you change if you actually say the word pure formless awareness, it becomes so obvious, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Pure formless awareness does not believe in retribution. And obviously, it's pure formless awareness. That's what it is. Retribution and anger and persecution and don't exist in pure formless awareness, like impossible. So changing the terminology can really help you to understand this, because it's like, this pure formless awareness doesn't work that way. It just is what it is. It doesn't have any of these crazy ideas going on in it. So that struck me, when you said, like, God does not believe in retribution. Pure formless awareness does not believe in retribution. I mean, it's kind of obvious when you say it like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
How could it? It's just pure formless awareness. It doesn't even have beliefs as such. We attribute human properties to this, but it doesn't really have beliefs. It just is what it is.
That's true.
Even if you use the word love does not believe in retribution. It just changes that whole, that whole sentence. And love does not hold your evil against you, deeds against you. It just changes it.
Whereas the concept of God, as traditional, a lot of people still have the idea of God as some kind of being out there, and Old Testament God, very fearful. It kind of fosters the misperception, I think, the name. So change the terminology, and then it changes the interpretation. Okay. So do you understand why he's saying this kind of error is responsible for a host of related errors?
Yep.
Yeah.
Once we go down this road of, God is somehow punishing, God vengeance, and that vengeance seems to be real, then this creates all kinds of other errors in our minds. Because now we believe in punishment, we believe in guilt and sin, punishment, attack, and that gets projected out, and we experience these errors. And when we misinterpret, so including the belief that God rejected Adam and forced him out of the Garden of Eden, well, that's clearly a belief in some kind of wrongdoing, sin, and punishment, isn't it? And that interpretation of that particular story. And he says also why you may believe from time to time that I'm misdirecting you. So if you feel like there's resistance arising, sometimes you go, no, this can't be right. He can't be saying that. And you feel that resistance, then just know that it's because of your own resistance to the truth. And that we're still quite attached to this idea of a false God, vengeance, punishment, sin, guilt, all of that. And sacrifice. So then goes on number 4. So who hasn't read Elaine? Do you want to read number 4 for us?
Me.
No, the other Elaine sitting on the other sofa.
Somebody hasn't read. Let the owner read.
Owner can have the next paragraph, and then you see we've got to keep it again.
Sacrifice is a notion totally unknown to God. It arises solely from fear, and frightened people be vicious.
Translation as we go, just to speed it up. So sacrifice is a notion totally unknown to.
Unknown to pure formless awareness. It arises solely from fear, and frightened people can be vicious. Sacrificing in any way is a violation of my injunction that you should be merciful, even as your Father in heaven is merciful. It's been hard for many Christians to realize that this applies to themselves. Good teachers never terrorize their students. To terrorize is to attack, and this results in rejection of what the teacher offers. The result is learning failure.
Makes a very good point there. So anything stand out for you there?
Why does he say sacrifice is a notion? Because is he equating sacrifice with criticism or attack?
Well, sacrifice is this idea that something must suffer. Something must suffer. Something must lose out inevitably. And that's the ego's addiction. Not everyone can win. So I win, you lose. That's the world we live in. It's a notion of sacrifice that underlies it. And obviously in this context with the crucifixion, it's like something must be sacrificed to atone for sins. Something must lose, something must be harmed. And he's saying this is not how pure formless awareness thinks at all. Because in pure formless awareness, there's no sacrifice. It's just is what it is. It's pure, infinite, expansive awareness. There's no thought of loss. Sacrifice implies loss. It implies that there's something other than what's infinite and eternal and everywhere and everything. See? So that's why it's got no place in God or pure formless awareness. It arises solely from fear, and frightened people can be vicious. Sacrificing anyway is a violation of my injunction that you should be merciful even as your Father in heaven is merciful. And this applies to yourself as well. Maybe, in other words, be kind to yourself, be merciful on yourself, instead of beating yourself up, which we all like to do. Just say, okay, well, it's fine. You know, I'm not guilty, and maybe I made a mistake, but that's okay. I recognize the mistake. I won't make it again. This continuous self-condemnation is what he's trying to get us out of. And then I had this experience. Good teachers never terrorize their students. So I learned a lot of these transformational techniques on a workshop I did. Patricia, were you on that workshop? Can't
Which
remember.
workshop?
It was with
The
Joel,
art of.
It was with Joel Kay and his what was his name? Frederick Mott. Do you remember? Did you
Remember, no, my car broke and I didn't attend that weekend because I couldn't get there.
Well, you would have experienced some of this because, man, we did a session that was just so hard. The naming your game process. It was the first time I'd done it. And the guy was just so hard on everyone. And there was this like terrorizing. People were like freaking out. And it's like exactly this. There was learning failure because people were so fearful that, you know, the experience was quite traumatic rather than like transformational. Because he had this guy, I think he had a lot of sin and guilt and attack energy in him. He hadn't transmuted that. And he actually had a go at me in the naming of game exercise. Now it's supposed to be you getting feedback from all the participants. So he had a pop. I was like, whoa, that was a real test. Because I was just about to stand up and go, okay, dude, right. You want to take me on? Let's have it on then. And I was just like, okay, just let it go. Because I brought in half of the people. He asked me for help. So it was like a betrayal, you know, like I'd helped him put this workshop together. Half of the people were from my network. And then he attacks me in front of them. I was like, okay. So that was a real like, that, you know, I had to forgive. It's like a part of me was like, I want to take this guy on so badly. And I was like, but then like I'm not living the teaching, am I? I've got to let this go. And I did. It was quite a test, actually. I was just like, okay. I just said, well, so you say, you know, so you say, whatever you, that's what you think. Because he actually attacked the Course in Miracles. He said, oh, you believe in this kind of nonsense, it's all illusion and something. And he was like, and I was like, whoa, okay. But it was a good test. But anyway, the lesson was don't terrorize your students.
Yeah.
Because you don't actually learn it. People don't learn anything. And needless to say, no one signed up to the follow-up. Not one person wanted to carry on. God, we're so terrorized and traumatized by this experience that like, do we want to do it again? No way. So,
I think it was a complete failure, Jono.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a complete failure because I tell you what, actually what Spirit was doing there, it was transmitting the information to me, and I took that information and those processes and I've used them in my retreats and workshops and now in the course. So it got passed on to someone who was going to do something with it. But in terms of they wanted to create a little enterprise and start running these regularly, it was a complete failure because the energy wasn't right. The guy was too hardcore. He was like terrorizing people and going like the sinful, evil, guilty, like you're bad and you've done wrong and you condemned, and that's not what this is about. It's saying, yes, be aware of your errors, but don't condemn anyone because that's not helpful at all. So when we do the naming your game exercise on Sunday, it's all, try and keep it quite light and we have a bit of a laugh and stuff. Although, you're dealing with some quite intense emotions. No one's condemned. It's just like, this is stuff. We all share it. And it's about becoming aware of it. Okay, so moving on swiftly to number 5.
Okay.
Iona, will you read that for us?
I have been correctly referred to as the Lamb of God, pure formless awareness, who taketh away the sins of the world. But those who represent the Lamb as bloodstained do not understand the meaning of the symbol. Correctly understood, it is a very simple symbol that speaks of my innocence. The lion and the lamb lying down together symbolize the strength and innocence are not in conflict, but naturally live in peace. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Pure formless awareness is another way of saying the same thing. A pure mind knows the truth, and this is its strength. It does not confuse destruction with innocence because it associates innocence with strength, not with weakness. It's beautiful.
Yeah, lovely language.
Yeah, really poetic language.
It is actually, poetry in many ways. The way he writes, it's a masterpiece of literature as well as being a spiritual masterpiece.
As an incredibly strong symbol that emphasizes softness and innocence, the natural peace in both creatures. Yeah.
Strength and innocence.
Yeah.
So what he's trying to get us to do is reinterpret a lot of these symbols and see them differently. It's a reinterpretation of a lot of what's biblical, a lot of these biblical symbols.
Yeah.
This is what it really means. Lion and the lamb means that your strength, your courage,
absolutely,
and your innocence are not in conflict.
Yeah. Yeah.
Naturally peace together.
A pure mind knows the truth, and this is its strength. So the pure, I love the symbol of the lamb. The innocence of the lamb that knows it's perfectly safe. Yeah. And the lion who knows its strength and knows that it's never going to attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they live together.
Yeah.
In harmony. So
Beautiful harmony.
There's usually the word lamb as innocence, I guess, in this case.
Yeah. The lion is the strength and the lamb is the innocence. He's saying your strength and your innocence are not in conflict. They naturally live together. If you look at that scale of consciousness, the courage, the strength leads to the innocence, doesn't it? So let's have a look.
Yeah.
You need both.
And purely directed is incredibly powerful.
The courage, that strength, and then that starts to lead you up the scale into forgiveness, acceptance. Well, that's innocence, merciful, harmonious. It's all part of this Holy Spirit's thought system. Okay, so any questions on that?
Just remembering that Genesis song, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway.
Yeah. How does that go?
Oh, I'd have to sing it for you, but it would have to have all the guitar riffs as well.
Oh, really? Okay, well, we'll have to do that at some stage.
Okay.
Are you a singer as well?
I love to sing, yes. Yeah. So something, where have we gone? Here we go. Oh, yeah.
I'll bring up the screen again. I'm just sending a quick message. Okay, so shall we continue? Happy with that?
Yeah.
Happy with that paragraph? So Lucy, will you read number 6 for us, please?
Yeah. Innocence is incapable of sacrificing anything because the innocent mind has everything and strives only to protect its wholeness. It cannot project. It can only honor other minds because honor is the natural greeting of the truly loved in others who are like them. The Lamb taketh away the sins of the world. in the sense that the state of innocence or grace is one in which the meaning of at-one-ment is perfectly apparent. The at-one-ment is entirely unambiguous. It is perfectly clear because it exists in light. Only the attempts to shroud it in darkness have made it inaccessible to those who do not choose to see. Yeah. Wow, that's just fantastic. It's just innocence on a plate, isn't it? It's like, there you go. It's it cannot be anything. It just can't be anything. It's just what it is, and
I cannot project.
Yeah, cannot project.
Mm.
And I love the word, so innocence or grace. So those interchangeable words.
Mm. Yeah. So by grace we're saved, right? We're innocent because that's our true nature.
Yeah.
We just have to accept it.
Mm.
By the grace of pure formless awareness, we're saved.
And that's just unambiguous.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the power of this teaching. You know, as soon as you start to go into duality, you lose the plot, because you lose the power of it. It's not innocent anymore if you have something else. Believe in sacrifice and innocence, your mind is clearly split.
I had like little sensations moving up my body as I was reading that, just really like, whew, like a coolness or warmth, so, you know, just like a movement of energy. Like it really recognized something, was recognizing itself in that
Truth,
paragraph.
When you just observe the sensations, it gives you a clue as to what's going on mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
And you feel that kind of tingling. It's like, oh, okay, there's a resonance there. It's like truth is speaking to you, and it's coming into your awareness and acceptance.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. It moved me more than any of the other paragraphs. Actually, it just kind of brought it all together. It was like, oh, and there, oh yeah, okay, I see. Yeah,
that's why it gives us lots of words and lots of paragraphs, because you just never know what's going to work for what's going to work for you, what's going to resonate. And one paragraph might just blow you away. Like, wow, that's just amazing.
I'm interested by this sentence, the Lamb taketh away the sins of the world.
Yeah.
In the sense that the state of innocence or grace is one in which the meaning of the at-one-ment is perfectly apparent. I think he's saying, what he's saying here is that the state of innocence takes away.
Yeah. So all the sins and the sacrifice and the loss and the death just disappear when you're in that state of grace. So if you're in pure formless awareness, you're in that state of awareness, then the meaning of that one-ment becomes perfectly apparent. And I've seen that. Like, I've had this experience. I did this 10-day Vipassana retreat, day 9, and I just go into the state of pure, just like nothing. But I'm aware, right? So aware of nothing. And it's so peaceful and so beautiful. I mean, I can only describe it as innocence. That's what it was. It's just innocence. It was grace. Very difficult to put words to it. For seconds, I don't know, 30 seconds, who knows? Not very long. And then started to think again. And my thinking was then like the Holy Spirit really interpreting the experience straight away from me, saying, okay, but this innocence, this pure formless awareness that you've experienced, is all there really is. This is the truth that you just experienced there. And what you've done is you've created an entire illusion of a world. The world is just there to justify all of these thoughts and these feelings that cover that over. And so I really understood then the idea of the veil of illusion, to justify these thoughts and emotions. And that's where the ego lives. It just created a world to justify the covering over of this pure formless awareness, of this innocence or this grace, with all kinds of other thoughts that prevent us from accessing that state. And it seemed just so sad. Why would we have done that? I just cried. It's like, that is just so incredibly sad that we would have taken our pure formless, this pristine, pure formless awareness, and covered it over with all this rubbish and done this whole illusion of a world just to deny that and just to give ourselves some kind of separate identity. Just didn't make any sense at all. I really did have the sense that, you know, that was home. That state of innocence or grace was so clear, so unambiguous. That was home. There was no question in my mind that was reality. And you know, then as he said, it does become entirely unambiguous. The meaning of that one-ment. It's just that awareness. That awareness is what we're all destined for. Perfect, pure, formless awareness arising in your mind, and then you stay there. You don't go anywhere. You stay there. That's what merging your mind with God means. So there's no other awareness anymore. That's the enlightened state. Okay, does that clarify that a bit, John?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so number 7. Let's ask Patricia. How about you, Patricia? You read.
The atonement itself radiates nothing but truth. It therefore emphasizes harmlessness and sheds only blessings. It could not do this if it arose from anything but perfect innocence. Innocence is wisdom because it is unaware of evil, and evil does not exist. It is, however, perfectly aware of everything that is true. The resurrection demonstrates that nothing can destroy truth. Good can withstand any form of evil, as light abolishes forms of darkness. The atonement is therefore the perfect lesson. It is the final demonstration that all the other lessons I taught are true. If you can accept this one generalization, now there would be no need to learn from many small lessons. You are released from all errors if you believe this.
Okay, let me stand out for you there.
Innocence is wisdom because it is unaware of evil, and evil does not exist.
It's a non-dual statement. So that innocence or that grace simply has no awareness of evil. It doesn't exist in that state. And if you once experience that, you just have a taste of that. You cannot believe in the world of evil anymore. You just can't, because you've had an experience of something else. So we practice, we do this mind training so that you have that, ultimately you will have that experience. And you'll see that, yeah, this is just...
I like that he says, the atonement is therefore the perfect lesson, which we in our minds understand. But then I like he says, if you can accept this one generalization now, there would be no need to learn from many smaller lessons.
Yeah. So oneness heals everything. If you could accept the at-one-ment, so say it is at-one-ment, and it kind of changes the meaning of it, doesn't it? Because it's the at-one process, the process of becoming at one with my source, myself, and everyone else. And so if we could just accept that one principle, everything is one, there would be no need to learn from many smaller lessons. You're released from all errors if you believe this. So it's giving us the fast track here, but in practice, we're still going to have to play out our lives. We're still going to have experiences. They arise, and then correction. Often, if you find false beliefs arising, you get triggered, then you need to apply this remedy of the Atonement, just as you go. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Questions on number 7? So let's do the last paragraph. I'll tell you what, I'll read this, and we'll just do it as a closing of the session. So close your eyes. We just took a little closing meditation for a couple of minutes. Close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in. Just connecting in with your heart space. You might want to put one hand on your heart. And just listen to these words. Let the words give rise to the state of mind that they point to. So the innocence of God, the innocence of pure formless awareness, is the true state of the mind of his Son, or its extension. So you feel that, breathe it in, and you feel that this pure formless awareness, which just is complete and whole unto itself, is the true state of your own mind. It's beckoning you, it's calling you back to it. And in this state, your mind knows God. Your mind knows love. For love is not symbolic, it is fact. Knowing its extension as it is, you realize that the Atonement, not sacrifice, is the only appropriate gift for God's altar, or love's altar, where nothing except perfection belongs. So breathe all this love into the altar, which is your heart. Breathe it into your heart. Put one hand in your heart center. Connect in deeply with it. Feel the love arising in your heart. And just notice the purity and the innocence of this. There is nothing else. There is no other awareness. Right now, there's no other awareness, just this pure formless awareness, which is perfect love, perfect oneness, arising in your mind and in your heart, where nothing except perfection belongs. So knowing its extension as it is, you realize that Atonement, not sacrifice, is the only appropriate gift for love's altar, which is in your heart, where nothing except perfection belongs. So accept that perfection now. Breathe it in. Absorb it into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. And when you have this awareness, then the understanding comes. The understanding of the innocent. You have felt the presence of this pure formless awareness, this grace. It must be truth. You must then start to understand that God is, love is, and nothing else is. And you content to rest in that awareness because there's nothing else. It's desirable. Nothing else you want, nowhere else you want to go, nothing else you want to do. And so this commitment, this deep understanding and this decision is why their altars are truly radiant, says Jesus. So this is why when you commit to this, you experience it. And the altar, which is your mind, your deepest mind, is truly radiant. So feel this as you exhale. Feel this radiance extending out from your mind, from the source, but out through you to the world, to people in your life, partners, family, friends, special relationships, social networks, and then don't stop there, to everyone in the entire world. Feel that inner radiance shining outwards, and you become the light of the world when you're in the state of mind. You are extending the light of your true awareness outwards in your thought, to connect and heal and bless other people. So feel that happening now. Just feel that extension from you, and maybe you get a sense, a little glimpse that really you're not separate from these people at all. It's just the one mind knowing the one mind, coming to know the one mind as itself. And it's happening now through you in this very moment. So give thanks for this, feel the gratitude, breathe it in. And then notice the state, anchor it in. This love and this gratitude are very, very powerful energy, powerful vibrational states. So hold them, set the intention to stay there for the rest of the evening and on into tomorrow. So it is said, so it is done. And when you're ready, you gently open your eyes and just give thanks to everyone who joined us. Thank you, everyone, for that session. I really enjoyed that. I feel like we're going deeper into this, which is nice as we progress in the course. So join us tomorrow afternoon at the same time, 12:30 UK time, 2:30 South African time, or in the evening, 6:30 UK, 8:30 SA time. And namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.